Hey everyone, it looks like I am live. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Level Up Live. I am really, really excited to talk to you about 2020 today. Personally, I've been fantasizing about 2021 because I'm just really excited for the day when we realize that 2020 is not the never-ending year. I'm very excited to get 2020 started. But we still have a little bit left of 2020, and we really want to be able to enjoy the rest of the year. And maybe not enjoy it, but we want to be able to salvage it. So I have four big concepts that I want us to think about in terms of salvaging 2020. And they are reflect, reclaim, connect, and eliminate. So the first one, reflect, is probably one of the harder ones because what you really want to do this year is take a look at 2020, look back into the couple of months before COVID and everything afterwards. And I want you to kind of do a little bit of a review of your year. So, what are some milestones? What are some positive things that happened? What are some surprises, either positive or negative or neutral? And um, and then I want you to sort of think a little bit about the idea that mistakes from the past are great lessons for the future. So think of this really complex, difficult year as a lot of useful data. You can learn how you have responded to surprises, what kind of work has gone into milestones, and you can even think about things that you would have done differently if you'd have had all the knowledge in the world. This is really a process not just of preparing for 2021, because obviously those are really, really useful lessons that you're learning about, but also so that you can really take an objective look back at 2020, because I think that the majority of us are going to say, oh, 2020 was just a mess. It was awful. Probably there are going to be very people who describe it without using a swear word. But I really, really want you to take a good look at what actually happened. And that doesn't necessarily just mean in your work life. So a lot of you who had to bring your kids home to do homeschooling, there are some real important milestones to take a look at there. And anyone who had any kind of other personal things going on, think about those as well, because that is, your 2020 is a combination of all of those things. So the second part is reclaim. So in the past few months, I'm sure that work and other responsibilities that are not sort of self-generated have encroached on your you time in a lot of ways. I know that when my kids are home, there's no like ignoring them and going to work, and I can't separate myself from them quite as well because I don't have an office to drive to. So, one of the things that we can really think about for the last few months of the year is to reclaim 1 hour per week for yourself. And I know you feel like you don't have an hour, but you might have to disappoint someone, for example, and that's okay. So if you say, well, I can't grade that paper this weekend because I need that hour for myself, that might be the right choice for you. If maybe can't play with your kids for an hour because you need that time to yourself, that's also okay. Reclaiming is about finding time that isn't designed for you and design it for you. And one of the other things that I would suggest about this is that you plan ahead, because sometimes I give myself an hour of free time and then I waste it because I don't know what to do. So if you put it on your calendar and get really specific, like on Sunday at 4 p.m., I will play the guitar for an hour. Or on 7 a.m. on Friday, I will have coffee and read a book before I get any work started. You could also make an appointment to talk to a friend. That way, you're kind of you're doing something for the both of you because you both get time off. And speaking of friends, this is the third one, which is connect. So, one of the hardest parts of 2020 has been that inability to actually just see people on a regular basis. And so we have to be very, very intentional about how we interact with people. And this can work for your personal life, but also for work life, because, excuse me, this time of year, my energy, focus, and willpower are really, really low. And so I'm leaning on friends more than usual. And I acknowledge that, and I am using that to my benefit. I know that we often feel bad about leaning on friends and asking people to help us and support us and connect with us, but again, as I mentioned just a minute ago, it's really good for the both of you. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And obviously, as part of the contract, then if you have friends who are leaning on you and they're asking too much of you, you can just let them know, because right now is a really good time to be honest and to really connect with your friends. Um, One of the things that I like to do is, for example, I'm not likely to get up and turn my computer on and do that virtual Zumba class by myself. But if I text my friend the intention the day before, I'll have a much better chance of actually following through. And if they show up as well, that's just another level of accountability, but also of connection. You're sort of creating a little bit of a community that is keeping the both of you or a number of people together and actually doing some of the things that are good for you. And so the very last one, and possibly the most important one, is eliminate. So right now, I think everybody has a list that is huge of things you have to do because you didn't get them done before. And while maybe all of those things have to get done, not all of them are going to get done. And if we have really, really solid, realistic goals for the rest of the year, we can get through it feeling a lot better and a lot more motivated for 2021. So first, I know you have a lot of things to do, so make a short list and, take out every single thing that you know that you're not going to be able to do right now. Because having those things on your list for a really, really long time can be disheartening and can be disappointing and frustrating. And so if you can create a list of, for example, 3 things that you can do. So one might be some low-hanging fruit. We like talking about that a lot. One thing that maybe is satisfying even if you can't finish it. So maybe like part of a book proposal that you're really interested in doing, you maybe can't get through all of it in the next 3 months, but you will enjoy doing it and you will move the needle. And then finally, you just want one important thing, one thing that if you do it, you're just going to feel like, oh God, I'm just totally taken care of. Personally, I finally made the appointment to weatherize my house, so to change the insulation and things like that. I live in Vermont, so it's really, really important. And honestly, I feel like if I don't do anything for the house or for like sort of my domestic life for the rest of the year, I'm still pretty good because I did that one really, really big, important thing. So the other part of this is that when you look at that list, you choose one thing and then you ignore everything else, because concentrating on one thing at a time is really productive and it feels really good. And then the last part of eliminating is, and this is coming, choose one thing to quit. So it can be a work task, something you're holding on to that you don't need anymore. And, this actually could be a physical thing or an emotion or a fear or some guilt, something to get rid of that you don't need in your life, because you want to leave this year, you want to finish 2020 with a lighter load and less mental heaviness, less things to work on and worry about as we go into the new year. So, excuse me. And so I think that those are some really big things: reflect, reclaim, connect, and eliminate, to be able to have a more productive and restful end to 2020. And I'm just going to add a quick note here. If you're watching on Facebook, please pop into the comments and let us know if you are going to try any of those things, because I'm really excited to hear how some of those work. And if you're listening later, if you're not listening to this live, please put in the comments team replay so that we know, when people are listening. And then finally, I just want to remind you that we actively work on developing this kind of resilience in Amplify, in Elevate, and in Navigate. And so if this advice felt much needed today, you might want to think about committing to one of our programs and giving yourself the gift of a way more productive and way easier 2020. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a happy Tuesday.